Hello. In this video we're going to look at how to represent angle rotations. And by the way, I'm not sure if in the background you can hear it, but it's raining cats and dogs where I am at. Alright, so what I want to start with is, of course, that going full circle is 360 degrees. It's one revolution. Now, what we have standardized is that going counterclockwise or to the left is positive rotation, and going clockwise or going to the right is negative rotation. Okay? Now, what we've done is a lot of times what we'll do is we'll superimpose, well, almost always we do this, we superimpose the XY coordinate plane on top of the circle. So we'll say something like this, right? Where this is X and this is Y. And basically the positive X axis is where we start at 0 degrees. Right? So that's, now we're standardizing things. So here's 0. If you go all the way around and you end up in the same spot, you're back at the same spot, but now it's 360 degrees. Okay? So, if we look at then a nice large circle and we say, okay, here's again the XY plane, here's 0 degrees, here's 360, same spot. Basically what we're taking is we're taking 360 degrees and we're dividing it into 4 parts where each part is a quadrant. So here's quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. But if I take 360 and I divide it by 4, right, then what I get is that each quadrant is 90 degrees. So if I go from 0 to here, this is 90 degrees. That means I start at 0, pointing due east or toward the positive x-axis, and then I rotate like this. Now I'm at 90 degrees. If I keep rotating and get to the end here, that's another 90 degrees, so 180 degrees total. Add another 90 degrees, 270 degrees. Add another 90 degrees, there's your 360. Okay? So you should definitely have as your reference these 4 quadrants, right? Now, let's go ahead and talk about what we usually do when we rotate a certain amount. We start at 0, that's always the initial side. And then when you rotate a certain amount, let's say I rotate over here, then this is where I end. This is called the terminal side. So terminal, let me make sure that's T-E-R-M-I-N-A-L, terminal side. Again, this is initial side. Okay. So now let's take a look at a few examples. And this is getting a little dirty. So let's take a look, for example, if you were asked to represent 75 degrees, how would I represent that? Well, I would say, okay, I know my XY plane. Now this isn't usually really drawn in there, but we know that this is 0 degrees, this is 90, right, and this is 0, so obviously 75 is somewhere in here. Now I know that halfway between 0 and 90 is 45 degrees, right? So over here would already be 45 degrees. So basically I want to come back down about 15 degrees from 90, and I'd probably say something like this. Okay? That would be my 90 degree. And it's understood that I rotated this right here to represent 75 degrees. All right, let's do another example. Suppose you're asked 168 degrees. Pause the video for a moment and go ahead and draw what you think would represent 168 degrees. So here we are. And basically, again, this is always 0. So we're rotating. As we're rotating, we go through 90. If we went all the way over here, we'd be at 180. So we don't want that. We want to be back up about, what, 12 degrees. So we're like, okay, I'm going to kind of guesstimate it and say 168. Of course, this would be straight, but that'd be about it. Okay. So that's 168 degrees, and it's understood that the rotation the way it's drawn in is like this. Okay, like that. All right, now let's take a look at negative rotations. So we knew, so let's say we took a look at the example negative 155 degrees. Well, the only difference is how we're rotating. Remember, this is positive rotation, that way, right? Or counterclockwise or to the left. This rotation is negative, right? Clockwise or to the right. So if this is still, of course, always 0, this would be negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, and here negative 360. And notice again that the one full revolution 360 is just in the negative direction, ends up in the same spot as 0. So what you're saying is to go one full revolution in the negative, you start at 0, and you're rotating here, so negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, negative 360. So where would negative 155 be? Well, it would be somewhere here in quadrant 3, right? And basically, you're going to back off a little bit, right, from here, negative 155. And that's about 25 degrees away from negative 180. So if you finished it off, you'd go an extra about 25 degrees. All right. Let's go ahead and try. Pause the video and see what you would get for negative 210 degrees. So pause the video, give it a try, and draw it out. It looks like my cat's helping us too. Okay, buddy. All right, let me just go ahead and finish this out. So here is, sorry about that, stabilize that. Negative 90, right? So here's 0, negative 90, negative 180, negative 270. So it looks like as I'm rotating, I'm here, and I'm rotating, here's negative 180, and negative 210 is another 30 degrees in the negative, so I'm going to be about like that. So I'm going to be negative 210. So about 30 degrees clockwise past negative 180. All right, let me give you a couple to try and see what you think. So try this one here. Oh, actually, let me go ahead and talk about what happens when you're going more than one full revolution. So let's say that you're asked for 375 degrees. Well, remember, one full revolution is 360. So what you know is, essentially, what's happened is you started here at 0, and you rotated all the way around, got to the same spot as 0, but that's 360, and then 375 is how much beyond 360? Well, it's 15 more degrees, right? So you really would be about here at 375, and the way this is represented is it's shown as you start at the initial side, always 0, you go full circle, one revolution is 360, and then you finish it off here with that extra 15 degrees at 375. Okay. Same thing would be true if you were looking at negative, but you would be going the other way. That's the only difference. Okay. So go ahead and try this example. Try negative 265 degrees. Let's see what you get. So hopefully, if you pause the video and then go ahead and start it, you'd have it here at negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, right? So you're here at 0, you're rotating in the negative direction, and you don't quite reach negative 270. You're about 5 degrees off. You're something like this. Negative 265 degrees, right? And try one more. Try negative 500 degrees. Pause the video and see where you'll end up. So it looks like, again, you're at 0, negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, right? Negative 360. But you know you go beyond that. So how much more is 500, right? You could work with the positives and then know that they're negative. What's 500 minus 360, right? That's going to be 140. So basically, negative 500 is negative 140 degrees they're the same, right? The only difference is you rotate one full revolution in the negative, and then you keep going another 140 degrees. So what you'll do is negative 90, and then go about another 50 degrees, so a little bit past 45, right in the middle, maybe something like that. Okay. All right, so the way that would be represented is you'd start at the initial side, you would go full revolution in the negative direction, right? And then you'd continue on that extra 140 degrees there. All right. Thanks so much for listening.